Hi everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. So today I'm doing my June reading recap, and I read about 11 books this month, so I'm not going to try to, well, maybe I could do it in like two hands. Okay, here's all 11 books I read this month. About half are romance, half are fantasy, so we got a good mix in this month, and I read a lot. So means we got a lot to cover. It won't be a 45-minute video like my last one, but I do want to thank everyone who decided to watch that video because it was a long one and a lot more people watched it than I thought they would. So I appreciate it, guys. To start off the month, I technically did a reread of Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I read this in like either 7th or 8th grade, so technically it is a reread. I gave it a 5-star, and I don't feel like I could give it anything but a 5-star because it was written very well, the message is very clear, and I feel like everyone definitely should read this because it still resonates with like the year we're in. Like it's 2024, but this was published in 1953, and it still very much resonates with today and everything with technology. If you don't know what this book is about, it's pretty much about this like dystopian world where if you have books, they get burned. So essentially it's following this guy, his name is Guy, so it's following Guy. He is a firefighter, or whatever the opposite of a firefighter is. Anyway, so he's doing all this, causing fires and stuff, but then he starts to like see the truth of books not being bad and how information's not a bad thing. So I think everyone should read this. I think it's a really important message to hear, and I did like going through and like writing in it and tabbing it and everything. So 5 stars. Could it really be any lower? Like. Next up, Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I did get the UK cover. I was so happy because there was this website that like popped up on my Instagram page, and it was just like, buy this cover for $15, even including shipping. So I love this one so much. I gave it a 4-star. So I would say if you have watched Gossip Girl, you will like this book if you like that show, because it is very like Chuck Bass and Blair Waldorf, like that vibe of like really just not great, like toxic relationship, but still like the love they have for each other and just all the stuff they go through. It's pretty much like this book. It's just how Magnolia and BJ are. And it's a really toxic book, I will say. So go into it not expecting like a cute romance. I still liked it though. So it was just super entertaining. There was just a bunch of different plot points going on and just a lot of different emotional aspects to it. It was a really good book, but it's definitely not for everyone. It is an extremely toxic relationship, so do not expect anything less than that. However, 4 stars. So the third book I read was The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. I'm gonna take the sticker off right now. Anyway, so I read this book. I know in my last video I was talking about how much I wanted to read every single book Abby Jimenez has come out with, and I very much meant that. I read another one of her books this month, so we're getting through them. So this one I picked up mainly because it was at Target, and like none of her other books were there except this one that I haven't read yet. I gave this one a 2.5 stars, and I just find that so crazy going from like, oh my gosh, Abby Jimenez is like my favorite author now, and I'm gonna read every single book, whatever. Not that that's not true anymore. I very much will continue reading her books. This one I just think will be my favorite of hers. I did like the plot. It was about her best friend and his best friend are getting married. She's the maid of honor, he's the best man. And so they're kind of forced together for a lot of stuff, and the way they met, it was like a funny situation, and they're just kind of forced together in a lot of different scenarios, and they become really good friends. So Kristen has a boyfriend that's, I believe, like serving in some branch of the military. I don't honestly know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what he was doing. Anyway, so they have a long distance relationship, but then she meets Josh and keeps falling for him and seeing different reasons of why she should break up with her other boyfriend, and it was this whole thing. It definitely felt like emotional cheating, so keep that in mind if you go for this one. Like, it was just, I didn't understand that, like, why we needed the boyfriend there. She could have had other issues that she didn't want to be in a relationship with Josh because of. Because that was the whole thing. Like, she didn't want to be in a relationship because of her boyfriend. Like, she didn't want to cheat, but she. What? Like, it was. I didn't like it. I just thought it was not a good plot point. Like, if she was single, would have been so much better. I also didn't like her personality at all. I thought she was too, like, if you guys know what, like, a pick-me girl is, she was kind of like that, where she's very much like, I don't wear makeup, I'm not like other girls, that kind of thing, and it's just kind of, like, icky to read about, because, like, that's not a bad thing if you like wearing makeup and putting on dresses. Like, you can be your own person. So it felt like Kristen's character was putting down, like, girls who like being girly, so I did not like her at all, especially with all the emotional cheating. Josh was just kind of there for all that. He didn't really do anything wrong, but he didn't do anything right. Like, they were an interesting pair up, and I hated the ending. We did not need that. I'm not gonna say the ending because I had zero clue that was gonna happen. So I'm not gonna tell you unless you've read it. I think you would understand what I'm talking about. But it was just so intense and emotional that we did not need that. So I'm sure what happened at the end, that character's book, is probably going to be really interesting, and I think I've heard that's one of her best ones, I believe. So I just need to get to that one. However, did not like this book. I wouldn't say I recommend it, especially knowing that she has so many other good books. Like, you might as well just skip this one because they add nothing. So I did not like this book. Then I read The Serpent and the Wings of Night. This That's not what this one is. The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. That other title I just said was the first book. I just looked at the back and got confused. Anyway, so this is the sequel to that book. I can't say anything about the plot of this book because it will spoil everything in the first book. So I'm not going to say anything about the plot. I gave it a 3.5 stars. I didn't like it as much as the first book. It just didn't hit as hard for me, and I just felt like it took a lot of effort for me to get through. Like, it didn't feel like I was really there for it, especially the beginning. Everything with the relationship issues just felt so unnecessary. Like, I get them having issues, that was warranted. How they, like, dealt with their issues was really just immature, it felt like. So, didn't like this one as much. I still really like her writing and everything. It was just, like, the plot and stuff. Not even the plot, I wouldn't say that. I would just say how the characters were acting was just not fun to watch. I still gave it a 3.5 star, so I did like it. But that's all I'm going to say. Definitely recommend this duet. For sure the first book. Obviously you have to read that one anyway to get to this one. And then I actually picked this book up at a farmer's market, and the girl, like, her little booth was like blind dates with books. I got A Promise of Fire by Amanda Boucher, I think. I give this book a 3-star. In my review, that's what I keep looking down at. Once again, my journal's down here. So I wrote, I'm kind of confused with how I feel about this one. I didn't hate it, but I'm not interested in continuing this series. The main female character was extremely annoying, and I didn't like her very much. The ending was this book's redemption, but not enough to read the rest of the series. So I might just look up how it ends, but I don't want to sit through the rest of these books. The ending, like I said, was super intense, and plot twists and all that kind of stuff. But to get there took so long and was so just all over the place. I didn't like the characters. I think I liked a few of the side characters, but I did not like the main 2 characters. So I honestly wouldn't recommend this one. I just didn't like it, and I'm going to move on from it. And then I read Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. I'm just going through all the bad books right now. I did not like this book. I gave it like a 2. I really, really liked Ali Hazelwood's first 3 books. Yeah, The Love Hypothesis, Love on the Brain, and Love Theoretically. Amazing books. 5-star books for sure. But the last 3 books she has come out with have disappointed me very much. And I feel so sad to say that because I do like her writing. There's nothing wrong with the way she writes. I think she writes very beautifully and descriptively and all that kind of stuff. It didn't hit for me, but I don't know. It's about Rue and Eli, and essentially Eli's company is taking over Rue's company. And it's this like weird like forbidden romance, but then they're just really, I don't know. I literally don't know what to say about this book. I didn't like it. The only thing like extremely positive I wrote is that I will still buy all of her books. Like I'm still gonna give her as many chances as I can give. Like I'm never gonna not read her books. I just didn't like this one. Luckily this next book I did like, so I'm gonna stop being so negative now. I read Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I've read the Six of Crows duology, and I thought I was not gonna like this book at all. Don't know why. I don't know if like I heard someone's review of it and it just stuck in my head of like, yo, you're not gonna like this as much as Six of Crows. I liked it a lot more than Six of Crows. I'm so excited to continue this series. I gave it a 4 stars. Everything about it, the characters, the plot. I was also not expecting as much romance as there was in this book. That's not saying it's a romance book at all. It just had more than Six of Crows. It's about Alina, and they all have to cross this thing called the Shadowfold, and because it's a fantasy world, when they're crossing it, they got like attacked by these mythical creatures, and she had this power she didn't know she possessed. It was the power of sunlight. I hope that's not a spoiler. I don't think it is. It doesn't say it on the back, so I apologize if that is a spoiler. I don't believe it is, though. So anyway, she possesses that power and, like, saves them all. And then the Grisha are the magical people in this world. And their, like, leader, the Darkling, like, took her, not in, like, a kidnapping way, but took her because she has this power that no one else has had, and either so many years or never, I forget. So he believes she can bring down the Shadowfold for good, and she's training with all of them. So you're following her through that. Everything was so good, and I'm so excited to continue this series. That is all I'm going to say about this book. Highly recommend it. But next up I read Lauren Asher's new release, Love Unwritten. I don't know why I said it like that. Love Unwritten. I gave this book a 4 star, but she always has such good books, and the plots are always crazy because they're all billionaires, and a billionaire romance is like the best way to go, because things just like that don't happen in real life happen in these books, and I love it so much. It's just so entertaining, and I love it. And I'm gonna show, this is like the vibe of the book, if you wanted to know. I really liked this book. I really liked Love Redesigned, I think was the other one, the purple one. Really like that book. I think I like that one more than this one, just because I honestly don't think that I like books who have like songwriters in them. Anytime I read books like that, it just kind of like, I don't know, I just don't like it that much. I don't like reading song lyrics, I think is my problem, because there were a few chapters where they had like a few song lyrics and I just did not like reading through them. I don't know how she writes all of this information, make it seem like it was worth it to be this long. 607 pages. Any other book, any other author, romance-wise, I feel like should not be writing this much. However, any of her books doesn't give you too much information. It just makes you want to stay with the characters even more, so you get 600 pages of them, and it's great. Raphael and Ellie is what this one's about. Ellie is Raphael's nanny. It's about them two. He's like, it is a grumpy sunshine trope, and just all of this stuff. I loved, actually, because I usually don't love when there's kids in the book. I just feel like it detracts from everything, and it just kind of, it makes it feel weird. However, I believe the kid's name was Nico. I loved Nico's character, but I also didn't understand because there was this whole plotline with him and like a health issue that just never came back to the end. Like it was super, super heavy in the beginning of like, he's struggling with this, he's going through it, beginning, middle-ish, and then it just stopped. Like, it would be like, randomly when they went to Hawaii, because that is a big plot of this book, is their vacation. It showed up a few times in there. As soon as they got home, I just felt like it didn't wrap up that part very well. Maybe in the 3rd book it will, but I felt like that part was weird. It just didn't circle back very well. But even though it was 600 pages, definitely worth it. All of Lauren Asher's books are worth it. So next book I read was Light Lark by Alex Astor. I did not think I was gonna like this book. I gave it about a 4 star. So good. Like, Writing-wise, I didn't think it was the best. Plot-wise was crazy, though, I will say. Like, specifically the last 25%, not even just the ending, but, like, just the last 25% of the book. So entertaining, so fast-paced, so many twists and turns, and just everyone's not who they said they were kind of thing, and really, really good. Do recommend this. If you have heard bad reviews about it, just give it a chance. I wouldn't say writing-wise you're gonna get much from it. Like, it's not the best written book I've ever read. It's not horrible by any means. Like, it's not, I don't know, it's not, like, hard to get through. It's about Isla, and she's competing in this contest trial situation that happens once every 100 years to try to break the curse on all the realms, all the 6 realms, because 500 years ago or something, they all had a curse placed on them, and the only way to break it is to get together every 100 years, and it's this whole riddle, basically, they have to solve, and basically they can't kill each other, but only one person can get all the power, and I thought it was just really interesting, and super unique. I felt like I've read books that are similar to this, but plot twist wise and what the real goals were totally different than anything I've read. So 4 stars, really good. I feel like so much of what I'm saying is extremely repetitive, so I apologize if anyone's getting annoyed. So then I read Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez. Surprise, surprise, I loved this book. I gave it a 4.75. I don't think I've ever tabbed a book this much. I probably have, but I haven't tabbed a book like this in so long. It was making me giggle, it was making me laugh, it was making me smile, it was making me want to cry. Like, everything about it, amazing. And I did like the Life's Too Short message of it all. I thought that was a really great, like, plot to drive to people. Essentially, it's about, I think I say that every time I try to talk about the book. Anyway, essentially, it's about Vanessa and Adrian. Vanessa, her whole, like, family, like, the women in her family, have all died before the age of 30 because of ALS, and she's always been just expecting to die from it, so she's been living her life as if she could die at any moment, which I feel like we could all use a little bit of. Obviously, to an extent, she took it a little too far, but I did like that whole thing, not taking things too seriously, because I am one of the people who do take things too seriously. So, anyway, that's probably a lot of what I tabbed. So, she's a content creator, which I think is really funny because they do talk about her a lot in the other books I've read, because I read all of her books out of order. She's a YouTube girl, and she essentially goes and travels places and, you know, is spreading the message of, like, she's raising money for ALS, but also spreading the message of life being too short. And so when she was back in town at her apartment, she was abruptly given her sister's child because her sister, I think she was like 19, maybe younger. She has a drug addiction, so she can't take care of the baby. She gave the baby to her and just left her with the baby. So her neighbor, Adrian, came over one night because it was like 4 a.m., the baby's crying. He goes over to, like, tell her to make it stop. Like, I don't really know what his plan was. But when he went over, she was like, no, I can't. Like, this is just not how it works. And so she gets really upset with him, and he immediately changes his whole demeanor and is just like, how can I help you? Like, give me the baby, you go shower, kind of thing. So it started from there. Super, super sweet romance. I felt like they clicked so well and, like, balanced each other out. Like, she's super, like, live on the edge, obviously. If you're living with a diagnosis like that, or a potential diagnosis like that, how could you not? And him being more reserved and just happy where he was at and just settled in his job, afraid of flying and stuff. I felt like they were perfect for each other, and the things they did for each other's family relationships and everything was so good. And I was really, really happy, especially after reading The Friend Zone, of, like, how that balanced out. And I believe this is the 3rd book. So they're not like a series, but they are. So it's the Friend Zone trilogy, but they're all just intertwined standalones. So you could read this, never read their other two, and it's okay. Like, you just see the other characters in the other books. But I found this one at a used bookstore. Was so excited, like unbelievably excited to see this there. And I read it, and I'm good now. Everything bad, potentially negative thoughts about that book have been wiped from my brain. So I think I'm still sitting at a 4.75, but super good. I actually really want to reread Yours Truly, because I think about that book so much. So that's a book I'm going to up to a 5-star, I will say. This is the last book I read of June. I finished it last night. Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in the Throne of Glass series. Obviously, like I talked about in the last video, people say all different books or whatever number. So anyway, this is the second book I read in the Throne of Glass series. I did not like the beginning of this book. It was dragging on so much. I felt like it was extremely repetitive and too much information about different kingdoms, different people, whatever. And then we hit about halfway to the end, and it was good. I was okay. Like, it redeemed itself. I was able to get through it. So I give it like a 3.75, around there. I still did not love it, but I am more excited to continue the series now after having read this one. So I can't tell you anything about it because it would be a spoiler. So you're just continuing the events of Throne of Glass. I think what redeemed this book for me was the plot twist and just finding out the secrets that were changed and the romance that finally happened and character development that was needed and all that kind of stuff. So I'm definitely more excited to read the rest of the series, and that was the last book I read. Alright, so I apologize for the really abrupt change in quality. I don't know if it would be better or worse, but the camera just ran out of storage, and with me packing, I don't have any way of changing it real quick. So, for now, we're just filming on my phone, and it's just gonna be okay. I was gonna go over really quick the books I'm excited to read. So, I'm just gonna go over them super fast. I have Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. Super excited for that. And Vow of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. I loved Dance of Thieves so much, and I really, really hope that this one, it lives up to what the other one gave me emotionally. I have Five Broken Blades by Mai Cortland, or Corlin. I've heard mixed reviews about this. Super cool. That's what I was trying to show. Super, super cool. Super excited to read it, but I haven't really heard that great of things about it, so we'll see. And then I have Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. I have all of her books, and I've only read one of them, so that's why I need to read this as soon as possible. Then I have The Seventh Queen by Greta Kelly. I read The Frozen Crown last month, I believe. And I have Supernova by Marissa Meyer. I loved the other two books in the Renegades trilogy, so I need to read this while everything is still kind of fresh in my mind. It's not that fresh anymore, so this one needs to happen sooner or later. And then for the 3 romance books I have This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. I didn't like one of her books. I think this is her 3rd book, so I read her other 2, and they weren't great, but I've heard that this one is definitely better, so I'm excited to read that. And then I have A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston. I loved, like everyone else did, The 7-Year Slip and The Dead Romantics. She has beautiful writing, amazing plots, and I read the synopsis of what this one is, and I'm so excited. She just has such cool books. Like, the magical realism in them is crazy, and I think it's just so unique because I don't read books like that usually, and I need to find more authors that do that. And then I want to read Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan. I've heard that this is like everyone's new favorite summer book, so I need to read this while it's still summer, or I'm not gonna read it until next year. So this is on my like radar, like my immediate like, and this is happening soon. And I'm actually going to Lauren Roberts' book signing for Reckless on the 12th, and I'm gonna get Reckless then, so I won't read it when it comes out because I don't want to buy it twice. So that is also happening as soon as possible in my head. Anyway, I'm really excited for those books. Those are the ones I just picked off of my immediate TBR. I have a lot more to read, but they're boxed up now, so that's what I'm gonna read soon. I need to go finish packing because we're moving out of here in a few days and it still looks like we still really live here. So really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I am going to vlog us moving to Arizona because I just think it'd be fun to have that memory, not necessarily because I think people would like watching it. It might be fun. I think it will be. We're going to the Dr. Pepper Museum and probably a bunch of bookstores on the way. I still need to research some. I hope you guys are excited for that potentially. I did want to do more vlogs like I mentioned in my last video, so we're gonna try it with that one because that's like the most exciting thing happening. I will also probably vlog when I go to Lauren Roberts book signing. So excited to meet her. I'm gonna stop talking because I'm out of breath and like I said, I have a lot to do, so I need to go anyway. And I really hope this quality wasn't horrible. I'll see you guys in my next video, and I really hope you liked this one. Let me know if you read any of these books. Let me know your opinions. I'm always eager to hear people's book opinions as I make these videos for. I really like telling people my book opinions. So anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling and I'm gonna leave, but I will see you guys in my next video. See ya!